You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck, home of the low price tire guarantee. quicklane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, the Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
We are live on the air and running a Tuesday edition of the Sports Fix. Welcome in each and every one of you live. As we said, here noon weekdays, the Sports Fix on the air Tuesday across the Sports Fix radio network. J-Rock, Jerry Myers welcoming you in, and we got a lot to get into today. Obviously, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I probably could have just said the ugly, and the ugly. There was some defensive stuff, and Ben Tate, but the ugly was the the two guys who got 95% of the discussion as far as what people were interested in with this game. And, man, you could sum both of them up in 3 words. It's like the Grinch. Stink, stank, stunk. That's what they looked like last night. But we're going to talk about it. Seriously, a lot going on. This is an important week for the Browns here as they head into what they hoped was the week that they would have things settled. And I still think that they should. I'm going to get into all of that in just a second here. I still think that they need to get some definition here one way or the other and try to get some cohesiveness. But there's clearly, beyond the quarterbacks, beyond whoever's behind center, there's some cohesive issues here with the offense. I mean, you've seen it. They regressed from week 1 to week 2, and it wasn't one or the other. I mean, it was just in general, whether people were in the wrong places and not catching the ball. And I saw some official numbers last night that said each quarterback had 2 receivers drop a pass. I'm like, man, we have different judgments of dropping passes because I think you could double that, man. I get it that Hoyer could have perhaps thrown a better ball. I don't know. It touches both of your hands. You're a wide receiver. You catch that ball in the NFL. That's what you get paid to do. I get paid to talk. If I can't talk, my job is over. That's what you do. You get paid to catch with your hands. When it hits both of your hands, it shouldn't bounce beyond that, man. But just in general, a rough offensive performance, although, like I said, Ben Tate liked what I saw from him defensively. If you don't get fired up watching a goal line stand, you know what I'm saying? If you don't get fired up by that, there's some good things there to talk about. But it all does circle back to the quarterbacks. We're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to open up the phone lines, you guys, talk about your takes on the Browns game last night. As here we sit, and it's a short turnaround here for the Browns because they play again on Saturday. So very quickly, that's one of the reasons, too, that the idea was to get things settled here by today or tomorrow, because you kind of have to. You really don't have a whole lot of time left to monkey around. You flip right back around into the 4th preseason game and then start getting ready for the season. So we're going to get into all of that. Dr. Football Bill Chachkes, as always, on Tuesdays. He's here with us just about, 30 minutes from now. We're going to talk to Dr. Football. He'll join in on the conversation, talk about the latest going on with the Browns around the NFL. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. He's usually with us earlier in the shows on Tuesdays. We're going to put him, he's coming up on us in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll preview the Indians as they get ready to take on the Minnesota Twins. Like I said, man, crucial crucial 9 games coming. I know the big ones are still to come. That's the heads up stuff. But to me, this stretch right here defines whether you're ready for that or not. I mean, before you even go, get yourself ready. But we're going to talk about all of that. Jeff Gorman, get you set for the Indians, and of course Buckeyes too. Got to get into that. I mean, how ironic. As we're on the air yesterday, we're talking to Dan Wismar, we're previewing some Buckeyes, and look at that, man. I mean, it was the elephant in the air the whole time, right in the room, talking about Braxton, and we mentioned how yesterday was going to be the key. He was going to get back out, try to get himself going again, and man, I'm watching, getting ready to watch the game last night, and I said, boom, pops up on the screen. I said, man, first thing I did was texted Dan. So, there's a whole lot, and we'll get into this too with Braxton Miller, because that could change the season for the Buckeyes there. I mean, that's no, I mean, come on, you can't even understate that or sugarcoat that one. But who knows exactly what the extent is. The MRI is going to go on. They're going to tell you. We'll talk about that. Lots of stuff going on today. A jam-packed edition of the Sports Fix. I said that for a couple of my guys who prefer that term, so I wanted to make sure I got that in there. Let's do what we do. Hey, guys, let's do it with you. Don't just listen to the show. Be a part of the show, especially today. It's after game day. There's a lot going on. 216-539-7535 is the number to call. 216-539-7535. Going to have the phone lines open for the first couple of segments of the show here, so pick up the phone and get in on the conversation. 216-539-7535. If you can't get to the phones, as always, we encourage you to talk to us on social media and email, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at the SportsFix CLE. Email us, the SportsFix@AOL.com, and let's get that conversation fired up as we roll into today's edition of the Sports Fix. And we'll get back, to the Browns here in a little bit. We've got a lot of time to that, but picking up what I was saying there, the Buckeyes, as we were saying, for those of you that hadn't heard, yesterday at practice, not even an injury as far as any kind of physical contact. Braxton Miller, non-contact injury, was throwing a pass. I believe he was throwing an out pattern, is what Dan told me, and felt some problems in his shoulder and came off the field. And now, like we said, everything up in the air. And when I said before, a game changer for the Buckeyes, no matter what you thought their top end of the season was, obviously. I mean, you take a piece like that away from them, and as a matter of fact, Sports Nation had a poll. I think it's 35,000 votes in it right now. Said, if Braxton Miller misses the season, how does that change your outlook for Ohio State? Are they still a national title team? Are they a Big Ten contender, or are they neither? And a drastic showing. No, only 7%. Clearly, I mean, they're nowhere in the national championship debate. There's some people that wonder if they're in that debate with him. Not even close without it. And nearly 50-50 whether they even remain Big Ten contenders without Braxton Miller. So a lot of worry and concern about that in Columbus and with Buckeye fans all over the place. It's still up in the air. It could be, there's some people who hope that it will be a smaller, more contained thing, but there are those who, worst case scenario, see this costing his senior season here. I mean, that's all on the table. Ohio State not talking to the media right now once they've got an update. Of course, tomorrow Dan Wismar is going to be with us, which is kind of good for us because I'm hoping that by the time he's back with us, we've got some new information on this. But, I mean, really just couldn't happen at a worse time. For them as they're sitting here, you're getting ready to go in, and you just had some fluctuation underneath here, and now that really gets spotlighted. Dan brought it up yesterday. Cardale Jones got leapfrogged by J.T. Barrett. Now he is the person who most likely would line up underneath center for the Ohio State Buckeyes against Navy if Braxton Miller's not able to go. And that changes that equation too. I mean, you had youth either way, but, a whole lot now up in the air for the Buckeyes. And as I said, a lot of people wait and hold their breath as they wait to see what happens here with Braxton Miller and whether or not he'll be able to go forward. But, I mean, this is a lot different than last season. The luxury last season, say what you want about his where he ended up. I really surprised that he ended up in the Arena League. But without Kenny Guyton, I mean, that's a big difference. You had him able to keep the ship afloat. Not only keep the ship afloat, but more than just do that, more than just manage the game. He was able to be highly successful and thrive in that environment. And that's why a lot of people like myself thought that he may have the potential to go on and do more beyond that. But that's a different situation, man. Kenny Guyton came up big for the Buckeyes. Now you've got some youth. You've got not only that, but you've got a change from the way you may have expected things to go as much as, or as recently as just a month or a few weeks ago. So it's just like any team, though. I mean, it's not like it's a surprise just because it's the Buckeyes. You take the heart from a team like that, and it changes the outlook of everything, as we've seen with these guys and, some of these NFL teams. Injuries, one or two of them has Dockett. I saw that yesterday. He completely ripped himself up his knee in every which way possible. But this differently, being that it's a quarterback and being that it's the centerpiece of the offense. So for now, all you can do, you can speculate all you want, but everything's up in the air until the doctors and the MRIs and all of that come back. But definitely not looking good, and a lot of concern in Buckeye Nation right now. Tomorrow, hopefully, Dan Wismar able to join us, and we can talk more about the Buckeyes and their quarterback situation and all of that. You know what? Perfect segue right there to go back to the Browns. As a matter of fact, we're going to go to the break and come back and do this. But speaking of quarterbacks, the Browns now find themselves in this predicament where they're in, where, for all the talk of we think we've got two quarterbacks, we think we've got no, I mean, it's never good. And you guys know my preference is to start Brian Hoyer in week 1, and when Manziel's ready, put him in there, and off we go. But I mean, say what you want about Hoyer, and I mean, what can you say about the debacle that were those couple of drives? But same thing for Manziel too. I'll tell you, the one thing that I think is becoming crystal clear to even Manziel supporters, and I'm not even talking about calling the plays or anything like that. The difference in the speed. I had a friend. He was a big Johnny football guy. Talk about how fast he was, and I'm like, man, I'm telling you, man, he's best way to put it. He's an athlete. He's athletic, but in the NFL, he is not fast. I'm telling you, man, and he is finding that out. Not just, obviously playing behind the second offensive line is different. I'm not really looking at the sacks on a couple of those. It looked like just every other quarterback, Browns quarterback last year, with you take the snap and they're in on you in 2 seconds. But even him trying to get out the few times that he did and try to get the corner and try to get himself going, I mean, even second string defenses are catching up to you. And Washington, not the strongest defensive team either. That was something Dan and I were talking about, and John too, yesterday, about being hopeful to get the Browns offense kind of untracked. And that's where I want to pick up when we come back from the break. And not just, I mean, yes, we're going to talk about the quarterbacks, both of them, and how they looked, but the offense in general. Clearly something is wrong. Jordan Cameron, I don't know what happened. I mean, but several flubs yesterday that are unusual of him, whether it was being in the wrong place, dropping the passes. And then there's the whole Josh Gordon thing. I had some people asking me, why in the world was he out there in the fourth quarter? Why wouldn't he be? He was lollygagging and half-assing his way around the time that he was in there. And I'm sorry, man. To me, Josh Gordon is not the kind of person in any position to be doing that. So you know what? Mike Pettine said, hey, you want to show me up? I'll show you up. That's exactly what that was. He was showing Josh Gordon up. You've got our team in this predicament. We're dealing with this garbage because of you to begin with. We're taking the flack. We're covering you in the media. We're taking the bullets for you. And you're still, I mean, come on, man. That's something that needs to be addressed too. So let's talk about all of that when we come back. You hear Blondie, do what she says. Give me a call. Talk to me about what you think about all things here coming out of last night's game. We're going to talk about it. How about that Colt McCoy? I got a kick out of Brown's Twitter because they kind of got it shoved in their face. I'm sorry if you're one of the people I'm referring to, but my timeline, it was a torch and gasoline when Colt McCoy threw the pick six. Everybody, we hate Colt, blah, 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 blah. Thank you for throwing a touchdown for the Browns. And like 5 minutes later, everybody was like, man. Was that real? Wow, Colt McCoy just burned him. And I will give him credit. that may have been the prettiest pass I've ever seen Colt McCoy throw in his career. So there you go. I'm having fun, dude. It's by that time you got grocery baggers out there playing. But we'll talk about all of that. Give me a call, 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. If Hoyer's one-dimensional, then what's Manziel? Because